Coming up here today on the Raiders Report, I got the top 5 free agents that the Las Vegas Raiders should sign to pair with Chip Kelly's offense. Here's the thing that I know. The Raiders gave $6 million to this man, highest paid OC in the NFL. They are going to be aggressive. And also, they have $92.3 million in salary cap space, according to Over the Cap. Second most in the National Football League with 28 total free agents. The Raiders have already said that they are not going to rebuild, that they are going to be aggressive, and that they're going to go out there and they're going to try to win football games right away with Pete Carroll. So when you add all of that to the equation, I knew I had to make a perfect 5 free agent fits in this Chip Kelly offense. If you want to be able to hang out with Chugs and I during free agency, make sure you're subscribed. The month of March is the most important month out of any of the months that we cover the Raiders, to make sure that your notifications are clicked on because of the amount of times we randomly go live. Because when the Raiders sign a big-name guy, we'll go live. We'll also be live that entire week. Free agency starts March 12th, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. That moment, we'll be live on Tuesday to that Friday for probably close to 30 to 40 hours in total. It's a lot of content. But you know what? Some people still think defense wins championships, and I'm not totally against that idea. If you want to see the perfect 5 free agents that I want the Raiders to sign on D for PG, this video is going to be down in the comments, down in the description of this one. A lot of good names, kind of throw out some different ideas of why I would want the Raiders to go out and sign those players. So now we're going to get into the top free agent targets for Chip, and these are not ranked in any particular order. They're just me throwing out 5 names. The first one, it's Trey Smith, the offensive lineman who played the past 4 seasons with the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, he has only played right guard, and to me, I personally would rather have somebody as a left guard, but he's the top offensive lineman in free agency this offseason. He's played in 67 games with 67 starts. He's only 25 years old. He's a member of the Chiefs, and if we could steal him away from Kansas City, obviously, I would love that. Not only is he only 25 with all those games experience, he's also got a lot of playoff experience, and I don't care what anybody says, that is extremely important in the playoffs. And at 6'6", 321, 17 games last season, did not allow a single sack. Yeah, he gave up 9 penalties, but in 1,115 snaps, show that he was a reliable lineman. He was ranked the 14th best offensive guard according to PFF out of 135 total guards, a 78.8 overall grade. Pass blocking, good. Run blocking, elite. The Raiders are going to want to run the football, and I want the Raiders to play some of that bully ball, which they're going to push people around. I want JPJ to be the center, and I'm hoping that JPJ is, in fact, the center. And if that ends up happening, that means both of our guard spots could be open. I like Dylan Parham. I thought he had a good year at right guard, but I'm also okay to the idea of putting Parham back over to left guard, and you put Trey Smith there at right guard. But the reason why you go out and get him, one, you got the money to be able to do it. He's only 25 years old, and you steal him away from Kansas City. That's a lot of wins right there. Dylan Parham is flexible enough to play left guard. JPJ is even flexible enough to move around if need be. But he's improved every single season from his rookie year to year 2, year 3, year 4. And I love the quality in a player that gets better and better and better and better. And I don't expect him to continuously get better, but it means that he's coachable. And for this coaching staff, we have a lot of good coaches on this staff. I need players that are coachable, that love football, and that's exactly who Trey Smith is. Now, in terms of some honorable mentions, if you don't want to go out and spend all that money, Will Fries could be another option that you could look at. Tevin Jenkins was another name that I threw out there just because he plays left guard, though he's missed, I think he's played 38 games out of 68 total games. Kevin Zeitler is an older name, but remember Greg Van Roten 2 years ago for the Raiders ended up being a really solid offensive lineman. If you were the silver and black and you wanted to go a little bit cheaper at guard, you could maybe sign somebody like a Zeitler. I also really want the Raiders to bring back Jordan Meredith because he might even be a really cheap option to start at left guard. But here's some other honorable mentions if you don't want to go out and break the bank on somebody like Trey Smith. So how about this, y'all? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, and I want you to name the top offensive free agent that the Raiders should sign. You could throw out a bunch of different names. You could throw out a QB. You could throw out a running back, wide receiver, tight end, offensive lineman. I don't care who it is. I want you to name the top offensive free agent that you think the Raiders should sign. Let's go to the wide receiver position next here, and I got Chris Godwin. Godwin, to me, is not the top wide receiver available. I still think T. Higgins is the top receiver available. But if I'm going to spend big on Trey Smith, I can't just sit up here and say I'm going to spend big on every single position. That just doesn't make sense. The reason why I got Chris Godwin here, he's almost 29 years old, is coming off a dislocated ankle that ended a season in Week 7. But I know he's a really hard-working player. He's also a Penn Stater, and I actually know people that know Godwin well. And he's somebody that loves football. Like when you hear Pete Carroll say, I need guys that love football, Chris Godwin loves football. He had over 1,000 receiving yards from 2021 to 2023. And whether we bring in a bridge QB or we bring in a rookie, we need somebody who's got solid hands. Think about how great it felt every time that when you threw the ball to Jacoby Myers last season, he caught that B. That's what's going to happen with Chris Godwin. Great hands, dropping fewer than 6% of his catchable passes in 7 of 8 seasons. Yes, he did have a little bit of a down year again last season, but it's because he got hurt. He has been consistent, and I know he's a slot receiver, and Jacoby Myers is also a little bit of a slot, but you know what? If the Raiders do extend Myers, which could potentially happen, you put Jacoby Myers on the outside, you put Chris Godwin in there on the slot, you let Trey Tucker be a little bit of an athlete, and then you have Brock Bowers lining up all over the football field. To me, that's a recipe for success. On top of that, you also look at the wide receivers that you have on your team, and really you only have Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker. This is going to have to be an organization that invests heavily in the wide receiver position, whether it be free agency and also the NFL draft. Here are some other honorable mentions I'll throw out, though. If you're going to spend big, the two options to spend big, T. Higgins, Chris Godwin. I just think Godwin is a better fit, and I'll tell you why here in just a moment. Darius Slayton for the New York Giants. If you didn't want to spend like $20 million for Godwin, $27 for Higgins, Slayton's probably going to be somewhere around $11 to $12 million per year. And then if you're like, you know what, I just need another receiver that can just be a blocker, a physical specimen, Matt Collins, Nick Westbrook are two of the best blocking physical wide receivers. And if the Raiders want to go and be physical and then allow Jacoby, Brock to catch a lot of the footballs, run the rock effectively, these are two other cheap options where I'm not going to lie to you. If we went out and figured out a way to get Chris Godwin and we were to sign Nick Westbrook and Matt Collins, I love that based on the fit overall. But the reason why, if I'm the Raiders, I'm going out and I'm targeting Godwin is because Spytek helped draft Godwin many, many years ago. Brady also won a Super Bowl with them, and a sure-handed receiver is extremely important for a bridge or a rookie quarterback. And on top of that, Godwin would be the number one receiver we have on this team at age 29 years old. I got 3 more free agents coming up here in just a moment on the Raiders Report. But you know what? For all y'all that run behind a little bit, that maybe procrastinate, I got the perfect app for you. Shout out to GameTime, and if you're somebody that likes to wait till the last minute, then download the GameTime app, create an account, use code ChatSports. Download the app today, create an account, use code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. If you're like, Mitch, what can I purchase? Well, here, you can purchase tickets to a basketball game, to a baseball game soon, maybe to a football game. I don't know, maybe you want to go to the big game. If you are going to go to the big game, though, you got to check out the GameTime picks. It's going to help you get the best deal available. You can also see seats throughout like the entire stadium, whether you want to see the bowl look, whether you want to see the exact look like where you would be sitting. It's one of the things that I love about GameTime. Also, they have this feature. It's called the all-in pricing. That way you don't get hit with any like crazy checkout fees. So the fact that you can get last-minute tickets, views from your seat, lowest price guaranteed. This link is going to be down in the comments and the description of today's show. I use GameTime when I want to go to an event. So my birthday, for those that don't know, is February 20th. And my dad, he's going to be in town, and I'm trying to be able to go to a game. I'll admit, I was going to go to a Mavs game. Now I don't know if that's going to be in the cards because Luka's not there anymore. But who knows? Maybe I can get the tickets for, even a bit of a cheaper price. But if you're somebody that wants to wait, download the GameTime app, create an account, use code ChatSports. If you're saying, what time is it? It's time for you to download GameTime. Let's go to another top free agent target for Chip Kelly. And I'm going to go with Aaron Jones here at the running back position. And this one might be a little bit of an eye popper for some people, so let me explain it. I would say that he's arguably the best running back in NFL free agency, where it's between him and Najee Harris, in my personal opinion, for the best back. The reason why I have Jones over Najee is because of price tag. I think Najee's going to get more money because he's younger compared to Jones, where I'm looking to bring in a running back on a one-year prove-it deal. He played in all 17 games, 2 of the last 3 seasons, which is something that you like to see. And he's a reliable runner between the tackles who can also catch the football. And his versatility is what the Raiders are going to look for with Chip Kelly. Last season with the Minnesota Vikings, 51 grabs, 408 receiving yards, 7 total touchdowns. But also, he seems like a back that gets better as the season goes on. Remember 2 years ago when it was Aaron Jones against the Cowboys in that playoff game and he ran wild on them? When you have a back that can do that, that's really, really helpful. On top of that, though, again, I know he's in his 30s and he's getting up there in age. But I feel like the running back position, if guys are still able to go out there and get it done, and he has slowed down a little bit, but Jones is a solid back that's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. Maybe the Raiders want to bring back Alexander Mattison or Amir Abdullah. If I had to pick between those names, I would actually bring back Abdullah because I want a pass-catching back, and he showed, he was kind of a dog at the end of the season, and I respect it. But if you're wondering, all right, Mitch, why the heck should we go out and target Aaron Jones? The first reason is this. Zamir White stinks. Got to move on from him. Abdullah and Madison are free agents, so no matter what, you're going to add a running back. And I think that no matter what, the Raiders will add a back this offseason in free agency. And if I know that I can get a back in free agency, why not take Aaron Jones on a one-year deal for $7 million? He did a one-year prove-it deal last season. I'll admit, this year it would probably be more of like a 2 for somewhere between 14 to 16 million is what I think Jones ends up getting. But, that's not a bad deal. You bring in Aaron Jones. Think about how many times we talk about bridge quarterback. We also have a bridge running back. You bring in Aaron Jones. You still draft a running back in maybe the 3rd or 4th round. I'll admit, if you want to go out and draft Ashton Genty, it's probably not an Aaron Jones. If you want to draft an Omari Hampton, I don't know if you're going to add an Aaron Jones. But I also know that a lot of teams like to do multiple backs, and that's something that Seattle has done in the past with Pete Carroll, that the Patriots did with Tom Brady, that the Buccaneers did with Bucky Irvin and Rashad White. All of those names are absolute possibilities, and he's a solid running back that can help a young rookie grow. I will tell you this, though. If Aaron Jones isn't the back that people want to go out and get, there's a certain back in Tampa Bay, Rashad White. I've heard some rumors, that's what I'm going to call him, that he's interested in playing for the Raiders. I'm just saying. So how about this? What's the biggest position need right now on the offensive side of the football for the Raiders? When you're sitting here going, we got a lot of needs, and we do. We got a lot of needs. So what's the biggest need on offense right now for the Raiders? If I were to do it, this is how I would break it down on offense, our top 5 biggest needs. The first need is obvious quarterback, and it is. It's the biggest need that we have. At number 2, I'm going to put offensive guard because in my mind, JPJ's the starting center. Dylan Parham's the starting guard. We don't have that other starting offensive guard spot because I don't think Andre James is going to be around, and I think JPJ is going to be the center. Wide receiver, very important. Running back, very important. Because Colton Miller is still under contract and what we have in DJ Glaze at right tackle, I put offensive tackle at number 5. Let's go to another player that I think would be a good fit with Chip Kelly. It's Mehki Becton. And Becton was a prospect that I loved when he was first coming out of Louisville, and he's coming off a career year after being switched to offensive guard. I don't know how many people remember when I was saying back when Becton was first getting looked at by Louisville, I said if this is a player that I would go out and get, but I would put him at guard because of just how big he is. And I know that he was a disaster with the New York Jets. He was a disaster. But over the past 2 seasons, 31 starts, he's been able to show that he's healthy, but he's been able to stay healthy because he's been able to stay in shape. There was a point where he was pushing 400 bills. And, when I think of 400 bills, a big offensive lineman like Becton, don't get me wrong, there's a certain guy by the name of Trent Brown that makes me almost skip a beat a little bit, and that was somebody that I couldn't stand, Trent Brown. There is risk in Becton, no doubt about it. There is some risk in it. And to me, I don't think that you're going to go out and sign Trey Smith and Becton, but I'm somebody that really does truly believe that you need to invest in the offensive line. So if you don't want to spend big on Trey Smith, that's okay. Well, then I would say let's roll with a guy like Mehki Becton, and also we can go a little bit and be a little bit risky. He was the 21st out of 135 offensive guards according to the PFF, and it's somebody, again, who is a great run blocker. He also can play right guard, so you could potentially shift Dylan Parham over to the left side. But when I think of great offensive lines, I think of people that I would want to put together. the physicality of Jackson Powers-Johnson and the physicality of Mehki Becton, you know where you're going to run behind when it's 3rd down and 1? When it's 4th down and 1, when it's 4th and inches in the biggest spots, you're going to run behind those two guys, and that's a very important role. Like, think about all the first downs Philadelphia is able to pick up. Some of these teams that have these big-bodied offensive lines, that's important. Becton also can potentially play tackle. He was brought in to be a right tackle, so hypothetically speaking, let's say the Raiders really spend big. You go out and get a Trey Smith, you put him at guard, and then if Becton ends up beating out DJ Glaze, Glaze could be a good backup rotation tackle who also gives you a little bit of offensive flexibility as well. This guy is a mauler in the run game. The most important thing about Becton is if you sign him to a contract, it's got to be incentive-based. If you give him a bunch of guaranteed money, that's going to make me nervous, and I'll change my opinion because he hasn't been able to show that when he's paid, he can be healthy. You give him an incentive-based contract, and I'm okay with that one being a very high incentive-based deal because when he's motivated, he's a hell of a football player, and I think he fits exactly what this running game is going to try to do. Let's go to the final name here, and this is going to be the one that's probably the most controversial, but you know what? Quarterback is the biggest need for the Raiders, and to me, the best free agent quarterback pick that you could pair with Chip Kelly, it's Sam Darnold. And I would say that he's the top free agent quarterback on the market, and I'm not going to lie to you, it scares the hell out of me paying Sam Darnold. It scares me to no end because Darnold does make me nervous, but he was able to throw for 35 touchdowns last season. And if you're somebody that believes in Chip Kelly, Greg Olsen, our quarterback coach, John Spytek, Tom Brady, and if you believe in what this organization is doing this offseason, I believe in Pete Carroll. I believe in what the Raiders are doing this offseason. If you're also sitting at home going, I believe in what the Raiders are doing this offseason, then I think Sam Darnold is a great option. I get it. He struggled in the final 2 games of the season. But what Spytek's been able to do for Baker Mayfield, what Tom Brady was able to do with Spytek, what Pete Carroll was able to do with Geno Smith, what he was able to do with Russell Wilson, if I was Sam Darnold, this is where I would want to go. And because I know that the Raiders are going to add a quarterback this offseason, I also think that whoever they add in the offseason is going to be the Raiders quarterback for definitely 1 year, but then even potentially 2 seasons. And because I know that, also on top of the Darnold thing, I'm almost a little bit intrigued if he would take a little bit of a discount to come work with Chip Kelly, Tom Brady, Spytek, because when you work with all those big-time names, that also provides value for Darnold. So if you're sitting here going, why should the Raiders target Darnold? Chip is not going to want to work with Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell. He didn't take the highest-paid OC job to work with any quarterback on this team. The Raiders also didn't offer Chip Kelly the most money that an OC's ever been offered if they were comfortable with their quarterback position. They wanted an OC, they're going to go out and work for somebody. And because of all the quarterbacks that our organization has been able to work with, I'm going to go with Sam Darnold, the QB that just threw for 35 touchdowns. If they can make Baker into something, why can't they make Sam Darnold into something? Maybe it's not the best option for people out there, but I think it's the option that makes the most sense for the Chip Kelly offense that just won a natty with Ohio State. But if they want to go with something totally different, then go with something totally different. That's the best part about Kelly. If you want to check out the top 5 quarterbacks that I got, that I think that the Raiders could sign this offseason, you can go check it out. Mariota ain't going to be on that list. And I'm going to tell you this, it's between Sam, Justin, and then one other QB, I think, for being the most likely. Though, you could maybe see a trade for Geno based off of some rumors that I've heard. But at the same time, I'd rather sign Sam Darnold than trade for Geno Smith. One more time here are the top 5 free agents for Chip Kelly on the offensive side of the football. I got 2 offensive linemen on there because I believe in investing in the O-line, and that's where I want to go. Chris Godwin makes this because of all of his connections. After that, though, I'm telling you this, the top 2 names on this show are Trey Smith, Chris Godwin. We can figure it out from there on out. If you want to send this to all your buddies, just make sure that you tag me on Instagram and Twitter at Mitchell Renz 365. But I guarantee you this offseason is going to be really, really wild. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you tune in because we're going to be live all free agency long.